Welcome. Today's special is a large pepperoni.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Game Night in the North, the TV show that's all about games, but definitely not a game show. My name's Jason, and I'm going to be your host today as we play Favor of the Pharaoh from Bezier Games. I'm really excited. This game is a very unique blend of the action of Yahtzee dice rolling, where you get a big handful of dice and you hope for some crazy rolls, but it also blends in a fun role-playing aspect where there's a character tree in front of you with basic abilities that you're going to be able to unlock throughout the game. And it's really fun, and I expect my panel of guests are going to enjoy it as well. Speaking of my panel of guests, when the action's all done, we're going to be voting one of us into the hot seat. And the hot seat is the one place you do not want to be, because at the end of this episode, one of us is going to wind up having to eat a hot wing covered in an extremely hot sauce. So let's get the action underway. To my immediate left is Troy Hood. He's a returning cast member of Game Night in the North. He's came back and he's looking forward to eating some hot wings today. How are you, Troy?
I am very excited. I'm very nervous, but it's always a blast to play games with you guys. So.
On my immediate right is Michael Gemmel. Michael's another returning cast member here on Game Night in the North. He's also a member of the Double Exposure Envoy program, which means he spends a lot of his time going around and helping people discover fun new games to play. Michael, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me again. It's great to be on this show.
So are you ready to get started, Michael?
Let's roll some dice.
Right on. So before we cut to the camera today, we randomly determined who was going to be going first, and I was the lucky player who's going to be starting off this game as the initial starting player. And that means, Michael, you're going to be going second, and Troy, you're going to be going third. Now don't worry, the game balances out a bit so that I don't get too much of an advantage for going first, because Michael is going to be starting with one of these Scarab power-ups. Now on the back of these, there's two different symbols. Some of them will have a pip symbol, which means when a dice gets rolled and it's a 3, you could add a pip to it and turn it into a 4. The other symbol that we could be finding today is this lovely dice symbol. Now this dice symbol here, when you draw one of these, it means that you're going to get a chance to re-roll a dice that you don't like before you have to lock it in. So mechanically what we're going to be doing today is we are all, what kind of people would you describe us as in the old Egyptian culture? We're peasants, I guess you'd say, working our way up the social structure?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the best way to put it is that in this game, not anyone can just approach the pharaoh. Meaning to get an audience with him, you have to curry favor with a number of other social levels. So we're probably on the lowest and looking to make ourselves known in Egyptian society.
And the way we do that mechanically in the game is we're going to be rolling dice. Now when the game starts, we each are only allowed to roll 3 dice. But what happens is, in this gameplay style similar to Yahtzee, we're going to be trying to roll specific outcomes to unlock power-ups and abilities throughout the game, which is basically earning favor with other people in the culture, building our reputation so that eventually we can try and be the person who earns the favor of the pharaoh. So what I'm going to be doing is, as the first player of the game, I'm going to be starting with my 3 dice that I'm allowed to roll. So Michael, if you could clear out the dice tray for me. Let's roll these dice, and we'll just basically play the game for a couple turns, see how it goes. And I think you, the viewers at home, and Troy, the new player here, it'll click really quick. It's not a very hard game to catch on to. So for my first roll, I've rolled 2 3s and a 4. And the catch is, every time you roll dice, you have to lock in at least 1, which you won't be allowed to re-roll anymore. Now for me, when I look at all these power-ups on the table, I see a lot of them where you want to have 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, things like that. So I'm going to choose to lock in a pair of 3s, and I'm going to choose to re-roll just 1 dice. So let's re-roll this 4. Now this time I'm going to be actually stuck with it, because no matter what, every roll I have to lock in a dice. So at the end of my first turn, I have a pair of 3s and a 5. So looking at the options that are on the table, there's a power-up that I can get called the Farmer. Now the Farmer I get just by rolling a pair. So I'm going to choose to take this power-up, which means on my next turn, when it gets back to me again, I'll be starting with 4 dice, because the Farmer has given me the ability to unlock a 4th dice. And that is going to be the end of my turn. So I'm going to pass these dice over to you, Michael, and you can begin your turn.
So you can continue to roll based on how many
dice you roll.
So at minimum, every turn, you have to lock one dice.
Yeah.
And then with any remaining dice that you haven't locked in, you can re-roll them. There's one little exception, and no one's going to unlock this yet, but these dice, when they are rolled, have to be locked in. There is no
Immediately. Yeah.
opportunity to re-roll them except with a special power-up.
Yes. You can manipulate them, but you can't necessarily
right.
re-roll them. So, are you
All
ready
right.
to begin your rolls?
I shall. All right. Right away, I get a pair. So that's good. I'll lock those in, which means I get to re-roll my final die. At the moment, I've got a number of these that I can take,
Yeah.
but I can only take one. So that's the 6. So it gives me a pair, which I can get the same farmer as you.
Yes.
Any roll will get me a herder, and then I do have all even, so I could even take a servant. I think for now, I'm going to go with the pair and take a farmer.
Excellent.
All right. And go ahead, Troy.
So we'll grab you 3 red dice.
So just so I can plan ahead, the +1 dice, you would be rolling 1 extra dice, or is that the farmer?
So you're asking about the worker card?
Yeah.
I'll just put this here in the dice tray for a second. So the worker card, once you have that power up, when you use it during your turn, it brings in an extra dice that's already been rolled as a 1. If you'd like to re-roll it after the fact, you can, but it's going to start as a 1. That's correct, right, Michael?
That is correct.
Excellent.
So with any of these, all we do to really show that we're using them is we just kind of turn them sideways.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Exhaust the card.
Yeah.
yeah, in
Exactly
a way.
right.
So in terms of my playing area, if I had these, I would probably show that I'm going to play with my 4 dice, and I would roll them for whatever result, and then I can take and turn this worker sideways to add into the rolled dice an extra one.
Yeah. Yep. If it shows a specific pip on it, you're bringing that exact one to start, but you can still re-roll them like normal dice.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
That's
So
going to get pretty wild.
let's go ahead and get your first roll started. And just tell us what you roll.
5, 4, 3.
What do you feel like locking in? You need to lock in at least 1.
Well, it's all the same to me, so I guess I'll keep the 4.
Okay. What's
Which was
the
a
roll this
bad
time?
idea. A 1 and a 2.
A 1 and 2. So you will have to lock one of them in.
I'm going to lock in the 2, so it's at least evens as
Yes, because all even is one of the power-ups you
there
could
we
get.
go.
Very
And
good.
a 2.
And a
so I will well, now I can do a pair
Okay.
if I want to. I
Yes.
think I'm going to follow the leaders and go with the farmer as well.
Okay, so
Because if you guys are doing it, it's probably a good idea.
it's not a bad idea. Yeah, there you go. So you've unlocked the farmer as well.
Excellent.
So this is where it gets interesting because now as I start my second turn, I'm going to have the ability to use my first power up. So as Michael said, we usually turn our cards sideways as we use them. So the 3 dice that I start with automatically, I've turned sideways. And then I can also turn the farmer sideways, which means I'll be starting this turn with a 4th dice in hand. And as Michael had so eloquently clarified for me earlier, all I have to do is lock in 1 dice each time. So I could theoretically be rolling up to 4 times this turn. So that's an interesting start because I've rolled 2 pairs, a pair of 3s and a pair of 6s. Is there a 2-pair power-up? There's not, is there?
There is on the A side of that one.
Oh, okay. So that's another beauty of the game is there's a million different configurations that you can play with the game. So for this one, I'm going to lock in the 2 6s to begin with because it seems like that's a good start to a roll. And I'm going to re-roll these 2. I'd like to theoretically get a 3 of a kind or a 4 of a kind, so I'm hoping to maybe see a 6 come up. Instead, it's going to be 2 4s. Well, I do have to lock one of them in. So I'm going to choose to lock in a 4.
Okay.
This could be interesting. I might wind up just getting the all even maybe, or
Maybe the 3 of a kind.
yeah, we'll see what comes up. There's 4. My goodness, the dice did not like me this turn. I have 2 6s and 2 4s. I'm going to wind up choosing to purchase this power up here, the servant, which is an all even power up. So my dice were 6s and 4s. Those are all even numbers, and that allows me to purchase the help of a servant for my next turn. And that's the end of my turn.
All right. That servant's going to be really handy and being able to manipulate with 1 dice roll and add pips to that dice.
Yes, I'll get my 3 of a kind eventually with the help of the servant.
All right. I'm going to do my 4 dice here.
All right.
And there is 2 pair. What? Just to keep things going, I'm going to go and lock in my 5s.
Okay.
And I'm going to manipulate 1 4 to make it a 5.
Nice, using that scarab that
So-
you started with for free.
That goes away.
Excellent.
And I will re-roll this last dice.
So he's guaranteed himself at least 3 of a kind.
And that too is not going to do anything extra for me, so I'm going to take a worker.
Very nice.
All right, Troy.
Okay, well, I'm going to exhaust my 2 cards here so I can roll 4 dice. And I'm
Excellent.
going to try something that might be dangerous.
Ooh, what are you hoping to maybe roll?
I'm going to try and go for all different to get 2 more dice.
So one thing we should mention is, with these red power-ups, you might want to keep in mind, and we didn't mention this earlier, the red power-ups are actually single use, which means it's a powerful effect,
no.
but you would only be able to do it once. So
See,
you should at
that's
least
good to
roll and
know.
see what your outcome is
Yeah.
before you worry too much on.
So one thing that Jason didn't get to do was
Yes.
take his 1 scarab for choosing a blue one.
Oh, thank you for
And if
reminding
you
me,
do
Michael.
take a red one, you get 2 of these scarabs.
Indeed. All the blue ones are marked that you get a bonus scarab when you buy that power-up.
Oh, dang.
So I'm going to, oh, look, later on I'll be able to re-roll a dice with my scarab that I've gotten. And if you do choose to buy one of the powerful red single-use ones, you will get 2 more scarabs to use.
All right.
Okay,
What do you,
well,
what do you want to lock in?
I'm going to lock in the 6 and the 4,
Okay.
because then it's still going on evens, I guess.
Yeah,
5 and 5.
pair of 5s. That's interesting. What do you feel like locking in this time?
Could I use my pip to change that to a 6?
Yes, you could.
Okay, so should I just change that?
Yes, you would. You would change
Yeah.
it to 6 and lock it in. And then that
That one's
pip, you just
exhausted.
toss it away.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, no. Okay, well, I have a pair, which
You
is
do have
gone.
the ability to re-roll that last dice if you'd like. You have a single reuse with your other scarab.
I like you.
Yeah,
We're
there
going to
you
do that. Oh,
go.
no.
2. Interesting. They're all even, though.
2, 4,
Did you
6,
get
yeah.
that power up yet?
There's still
I
any
have not.
roll, all even,
Yeah.
10 plus.
I will take a servant, please.
Excellent. So the same power up that I got earlier. You'll be able to manipulate some dice.
And take your scarab.
Oh,
yes, you get a blue scarab for that as well.
Thank you very much.
Very
All
good.
right.
So I guess we're back to me now. So I'm going to be starting with 4 red dice. So I will grab 4 of these. And let's see what the dice gods give me this time. 4, 5, 2, and a 1. Ooh, that's just a big old mess now, isn't it? Well, I guess I'm just going to lock in 1 dice to start, a 5, and we'll see where we go from there. Final one is a 2. That's awkward and uncomfortable.
But you can manipulate it with the servant.
This is true. I can manipulate it.
Or reroll.
I think I'd like to re-roll first, because if I get a slightly higher roll, I'll be able to use the servant to make that final roll into a 6, which would be nice, because then I would get 3 of a kind.
Yep.
So I'm hoping to get a slightly higher number this time. 5, that's perfect. I'm going to use my servant to upgrade that by 1 and turn it into a 6. And then now I have 3 of a kind of 6s locked in, which gets me the worker. And the worker will give me an extra dice to roll in my future turns that will automatically enter as a 1.
All right.
And that's the end of my turn.
Okay, well, I will start with 4. I'll have to bring in the worker afterwards, after this first roll.
Yeah.
And that is 2, 3, 4, 5. That's perfect because I will make this 1. What does that make it?
Oh,
A
1,
straight.
2, 3, 4, 5. And I shall take the conspirator, which will get me this fancy green dice on my following turns.
The exciting thing about that too is that's such a powerful dice that there's only 1 in the game for us. You're the only player who's going to get to roll a green dice this entire game.
This
now.
is true. Mind you, I do not get to roll 6s on this dice. It does not have the 6 side.
Oh.
Instead, it has the double star side, meaning that I can, if I roll this, turn other faces on other dice to whatever I want.
So it's almost like a double wild. You get to change the result of 2 other dice if you hit that magical double star side. That's pretty powerful.
It's
wow.
wonderfully powerful.
All right, and now that he's
Okay.
gained an unfair advantage, Troy, it's over
Yeah,
to you.
we're after him. He goes first, right?
Clearly, he's the target.
So this is the Master Artisan, so I'll get a scarab for taking him.
Yes.
I can take any dice once and change it to whatever face I want.
That seems pretty powerful.
So you're
Could
going to
you-
have a lot of dice
Could
manipulation
you
with the green dice as
theoretically
well.
use that on the green dice, or are you prohibited from turning the green
So-
dice to the wild face?
So I can Master Artisan that to the green, but it only triggers when rolled.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So,
you
I
can't
don't get
kind of
I don't
cheat
get
and-
to
okay.
cheese it and get a unlimited.
So you can't use your card to
manipulations.
make the green dice give you 2 more.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that is not allowed.
I'm glad that the makers of the game had the foresight to say, no, no. That's good. Okay, is that the end of your turn?
Yes, I took one. So every
Okay.
time you take one of these, and you can only take one per turn,
That was going to be my
turn is
next
your
question.
turn's over.
Yeah.
I was going to see if you could buy multiple, but
And you can't get 2 copies of the same one either. So you can't have 2 herders or 2 workers.
okay.
We're getting awfully
One.
close to the point where the end game is going to trigger soon too.
All right. So I've got this. There's some good things. All right. So I've got a 6, which is going to have to be locked unless I do the Master Artisan.
Yep.
But I could. How many dice do I have? That's 6. I get to bring in a 1. So
Yeah.
this is where things are going to get interesting. I'm going to Master Artisan to turn this into a 3.
Okay.
We're going to put in 2 3s,
Okay.
and then air, and I get to add 1 or 2 pips to dice, and I will add to the 3s 2 pips, making them all 3s.
Yep. Adding 2 pips to each of your ones.
Each of my ones. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus 1 pip to turn that to a 3.
Using a scarab. He's triggering the end game.
This is 7 of a kind.
I feel like Doctor Strange.
the queen.
We're in the end game now.
All right. So
He's earned the favor of the queen.
I've earned the favor of well, I've got the queen.
Got the
So
queen.
this is the end game triggered.
Now, do you keep rolling right now, or do we just end your turn and we move on to the next player because you've triggered?
So one thing that is going to happen because I've triggered it, and you haven't had an equal number of turns, you will get 1 extra dice to roll in the final round because we are now about to do. So I've got 7 3s.
Okay.
So I marked that on my board. This is the roll to beat currently,
Is 7 3s.
meaning that you either have to have 7 of a higher pip dice,
4s, 5s, 6s.
or you have to have 8 of any pip dice or higher
To beat it.
this. Now, because I've currently got the favor of the queen, I will get 1 last chance.
That's right. That's how that works. You roll last at the end.
That's right. So it goes over to Troy.
Okay.
Troy. So, and he
And I
does get
just
a
get
bonus
my own-
dice. You
He
mentioned.
does get a bonus dice
So let's
because
give
he
you that
didn't
one.
have an equal
Okay.
number of turns.
And I just get what I have available
Yeah,
here?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But you've got a good number of scarab rerolls
Yeah.
to do too.
It's all the same so far, so I think I'm going to go with 6s so that I can
Yeah.
use the servant
Yeah,
later
that makes
on.
sense.
And then
I
I
think
would
that's a smart
need,
choice.
so I would need 8.
Well, because 6 is a higher number than 3,
Just
if you
7.
got 7 of them,
7?
you'll
So
take the lead.
some-
You are in the 6 business, my friend. Roll some 6s.
Well, I got another one.
Excellent.
So I can
Free
just
roll.
continue
Just
re-rolling
keep-
and then
yep.
use those at the very end.
Yeah, that's what
Yep.
I would do. Oh, he's good. He's got another
I'm
6.
good. 4.
He's making a fight of it here.
Yeah, good. good.
God.
4 6s so far. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
6.
Oh,
Hit a couple of them.
Yep. So
You're in a
He's
good
got-
spot right now. Now you
4.
can also use the servant to upgrade that one of those into a 6 if
Yep.
you like.
plus 2 to that.
Yep.
okay.
And
So
then you're
that's-
just rolling that last dice as many times as you can to try and hit a 6.
This is awesome because having that last dice being essentially 2 faces that he could use to
To make a
Again and
six.
again and again and again and
You've
again
got
and
a
again.
lot of
Well,
rerolls.
2 out of 6 sides there are
That's-
basically a 6. So.
This is what's going to do it, though. I'm still going to lose somehow.
No, no,
It'll
don't say
find
that,
a
don't
way.
say
Say that.
So you got a 2.
So I will.
And you only need to get a 5 or 6 as well, because you do have a scarab that'll add a pip. So
true.
3 out of 6 sides are going to get you there. So
Yeah.
I have no excuse now. Well,
5, there you are.
There we go.
Use your scarab to power that up to 6. And then you're going to be marking in 8 6s. So the way we do that is there's 8 of them, and they were all 6s.
Oh, that's what those are for. Okay,
Yeah, and then
cool,
you're done
cool.
with the rest of the dice. You can pass them along
So
to me.
I have to pass this over to you since you're at 8 6s.
Ooh.
Ooh. Currently the leader in the end game.
She
You just
is
drop
pretty.
all those there. All right, so I'm going to roll these dice to get started. And the score I need to beat is, well, really I need 9 of anything
9
because
dice, yeah.
he's got 8 6s. All right, well, the embalmer that I have will let me bring in an extra 6. The worker will let me bring in one that's been rolled as a 1. So naturally, I figure since I have the most 6s, that's the one I'm going to go for. So start off with 3 6s. Trying to get to 9. And then let's.
So this is going to be tough because now you won't be able to use that split surveyor.
Oh yes, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can do it though. Mathematically, I have 9 dice available,
Already. Well, this is good.
so I can get there. But it's going to be a little bit of work. There's a 6. That's good. Keep the magic going here. There's a 6. Oh, and look.
Turn any
no.
dice.
Is that the first time for the artisan today?
Yeah. it
So we're
is.
going to use the artisan to turn this dice into a 6 and keep the magic going here. Chasing it down.
Oh,
Oh no.
All right. So you might think that's terrible, but
not.
but it's not necessarily. I'll use the single pip, the single one, to
Okay.
turn that 5 into a 6
all right.
because it's less flexible.
Okay.
So there we go. So
rolls
two
left.
dice and a power up available.
This is
This can go horribly
Oh,
wrong.
no, I
See how
don't
this
like it.
goes? Okay, so I am going to be using my servant now to power up this 4 into a 6. Okay, so 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've officially tied Troy.
Oh, I don't like this.
yeah.
I've officially tied Troy.
This is
And I have 2 sides on this dice that could get me there. A 1 in 3 chance of getting to the promised land. Oh, no. All right. So I'm going to have to settle for a tie with Troy. And then I guess you get the final turn here. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, we're both at 6.
I'm so happy with that one.
Oh, I need one more dice. Actually.
One more red dice?
Sorry.
Absolutely.
Thank
one
you.
more red dice.
Okay, so I get to start with this chunky set of dice.
Okay.
I just need 9 of the dice. It looks like I'm going with 4s because that has to get locked in.
Yeah.
And I've got 3 of them, so that works out well.
All right.
All right, has to be 4s. I
He's in
bring.
the 4 game. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, there is a 4 there, so that can
Carrying
keep me going. Yeah, yeah. There's a 4 there.
He's got lots of power ups too. I feel like this game is slowly slipping away from
Yeah,
us.
it's gone.
Oh no! Oh no! He's rolled the ultimate. The
All right.
ultimate
I don't see
conspirator.
what
So-
he rolled.
The
so it's-
conspirator has 2 wild up. He can change 2 dice into whatever he wants.
So
Good
it was,
game.
just
Had fun.
because of that conspirator dice, there's 2 4s. Now I
Can I
could not.
assist you in a 5? Perhaps a 6.
This will come in as a 4,
Okay.
and the final thing is artisan will make this a 4.
And he's got there.
There we go.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations, sir. You have officially earned the favor of the Pharaoh. I don't know how you keep beating me all the time. I'm going to figure that out. I think they're loaded dice or something. So we're going to take a minute, collect our thoughts, process what just happened, and we'll be back in a minute to tell you what we think of Favor of the Pharaoh. We'll be right back. And we're back. We've taken a minute to collect our thoughts, and we're going to share those thoughts with you, the viewers at home. So I'll lead us off here. Favor of the Pharaoh I've played a few times over the last year, and I've really enjoyed it every time we play it. So in the 5 categories that we review the games on here, the first category up is first impressions. And when I first learned the game, on a scale of 1 to 10, it gave me a 7 for a first impression. I liked the dice, but I was a little timid because I expected it to be a drier game, similar to just a Yahtzee. I didn't expect all the strategy that can be involved in unlocking the character abilities. Easy to learn, I would give it a 7. It's fairly easy to learn, but honestly, It takes a little bit, and there will be times we have to check in the rules to double check and see what symbols mean what and what abilities do what. So 7 out of 10 for Easy to Learn. Quality of the game, though, is one where I felt it really shines. I gave it a 9 out of 10. The dice have a really nice feel to them. They don't feel like cheap dice. And for the price range that the game's available in, I feel like it's a good value. So quality game, you get your money's worth out of it. Overall, fun to play. For me, I've mentioned several times today that I love it, so it's a 9 out of 10 for me. I just love the game. For me, it strikes all the right chords. And likely to recommend, for me, is also a 9 out of 10. Again, because I just love the game so much, I'm really likely to recommend it to other people. And we're back. I cannot tell you how happy that I am to not be sitting in the hot seat today. Michael, we've selected a very fine hot sauce for you today, Da Bomb. I believe you may or may not be familiar with this sauce.
I think this is one of the ones we had at a gathering, but I have not had it on camera, and I'm worried it's going to give me the hiccups like most of the other hot sauces you've given me.
That's the best part of you eating a hot sauce is we don't measure it on a Scoville scale, we measure it on a hiccup scale now. So yeah, please feel free to dig in whenever you're ready, and Troy and I will just sit here perversely enjoying your suffering. Right, Troy?
Well,
I already am. I can smell it and everything.
Yes.
I may have won the favor of the Pharaoh, but certainly not your favor.
I feel like that's a fair assessment. Next time, don't get all the good power-ups. And then point them out to us right after we roll and could have had the power-ups. And be like, oh, geez, it's too bad there's nothing there for that.
Got a full abacus on the side. Just
Yeah. Yeah, it's good times. Oh, here they come. Here come the hiccups.
Whoa.
How was that for you?
That's nuclear.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
the bomb really does go nuclear.
really.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, now that I've gotten my little bit of, what would I call it, revenge? Now that I've got my little bit of revenge out, I feel really good about today's game. So I just want to take a moment to thank each of you for coming. Troy, thank you so much for coming and being a wonderful guest again.
Thank you for having me.
Michael, thank you for coming and being a good sport about all the fun and games.
Oh. Oh, God.
And with that, I think it's just about time to wrap it up. So I'm going to thank you, the viewers at home, for once again tuning in. And we'll see you next time right here on Game Night in the North. Goodbye, everyone. Right on.
All dice must be 5s or 6s, which is
Why
what
I'm
you
saying.
interpreted as. Yeah. Which is the correct way.
Because otherwise, that would make no sense. As soon as you have 4 dice in your hand, you just by default build it. Vindication.
I'm gonna
Get that on camera. Vindication. Good. Keep it rolling. I'll just edit it later. Okay, let's all compose ourselves. We were discussing